Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our in-depth video comparison between the HTC DROID DNA and the Apple iPhone 5. They're both available right now. You can pick them up for $200 with the 2-year contract. Being a new kid in the block, of course, the HTC DROID DNA is going to stand out a little bit more for its impressive spec sheets, which includes things like that 5-inch 1080p display, 4G LTE connectivity, and also a quad-core processor. On the other hand, though, the Apple iPhone 5 is still quite a relevant device. It has some premium quality elements to it, and of course, it's only natural for us to compare these two. So let's get started. Visually speaking, both handsets sport very attractive designs, so it's really hard to say which one we prefer. Now, the DROID DNA, you could tell it's the larger handset between the two, so it's more cumbersome to hold in the hand, whereas the iPhone's a lot easier, more comfortable. The iPhone 5 is also on paper both lighter and thinner than its rival here, but they both have very clean finishes with their industrial designs that we like about them. The DROID DNA has that soft touch matte casing, which is highlighted with the red accents around, give it a very nice stylish look. On the other hand, though, the iPhone 5 is by far the more premium handset between the two, thanks to the brushed aluminum casing of its body here. For a long time now, the Retina display of the iPhone was widely regarded as one of the sharpest displays on smartphones, but it was soon eclipsed by 720p displays. And of course, now it's being surpassed by the beautiful 5-inch 1080p Super LCD 3 panel of the DROID DNA, which has an impressive pixel density of 441 pixels per inch, which is a huge disparity versus the smaller 4-inch Retina display of the iPhone 5, which has a resolution of 640 by 1136, and its pixel density stands at 326 ppi. So 326 versus 441, even though you might not see it from a normal viewing distance, they both are equally sharp, but when we look very closely at each display, we begin to notice that there are some sharper visuals with the DROID DNA's display versus the iPhone 5. But seeing that they're both LCD panels at heart, they produce some very lovely looking colors, more on the warmer side than anything else, which gives them some vibrancy, and they're both really good when it comes to outdoor usage. But we find that the iPhone 5 has the stronger brightness output and at the same time also the better viewing angles. As we all know, seeing that the iPhone 5 utilizes that iconic physical recessed home button, it's less prone to accidental presses versus the trio of Android capacitive buttons on the DROID DNA. Above their displays, we spot their earpieces, their front-facing cameras. On the iPhone 5, it's a 1.3 megapixel one versus the slightly more impressive 88-degree wide-angle 2.1 megapixel camera of the DROID DNA, which features an f2.0 lens. The iPhone 5 can shoot videos in 720p, whereas with the DROID DNA, you get 1080p, and it's also nice that the DROID DNA features an LED notification light built into the earpiece, and there's also another one in the rear. Without question, we prefer the physical buttons on the iPhone 5, both the volume control and the dedicated power button, just because they are extremely prominent to the touch, and on top of that, more springy than the flush and flat response of the DROID DNA's buttons. When it comes to charging and data connectivity, of course, the micro USB port of the DROID DNA is more favorable just because it's universal and you get also video out with the aid of an MHL adapter, whereas with the iPhone 5, you have Apple's new Lightning docking port, which is proprietary, and you can't get video out functionality through there. You're going to have to use AirPlay for that. In the back of both handsets, we find there are 8-megapixel autofocus cameras. They both have backside illuminated sensors and ability to shoot 1080p videos, and of course the LED flashes. The DROID DNA features an f2.0 lens versus the f2.4 lens of the iPhone 5. And saying that these two devices sport closed designs, there's no access to their internal batteries, nor is there any way to actually complement their internal storage capacity. The DROID DNA is stuck at 16 gigabytes, whereas the iPhone 5 is available in 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte versions. And you can tell the speakers, you have Beats audio support with the DROID DNA, and its speakers right on its back, whereas with the iPhone 5, it's placed on the bottom edge. So here we are again with yet another comparison between an iOS device and an Android one. It's iOS 6 on the iPhone 5 versus the Sense 4 Plus UI running on top of Android 4.1.1 Jelly Bean on the DROID DNA. And they have their own strengths that we like about them. With the iPhone 5, we prefer it for its simplicity and straightforward approach. It's very easy to learn, and you have also some cool functionality such as Siri. You get that personal digital assistant with you. iOS also has a pretty good notification system, and of course, to quickly multitask, you just simply tap the home button and you can quickly move around through the various applications. Now, it's lacking when it comes to customization and personalization. That's exactly what you find with the Droid DNA. You have the polished set of widgets, all the live wallpapers, and of course, very useful other useful things like Google Now, which rivals Siri, but we actually prefer it more just because there's more functionality found with it. And on top of that, you have very useful things like lock screen access to different applications, which is very useful. And overall, we just find more comprehensive features with the Android experience of the Droid DNA. On paper, most people are probably going to be attracted to the higher specs found with the Droid DNA. It's powered by a quad-core 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro processor with 2 GB of RAM versus the dual-core 1.3 GHz Apple A6 processor with 1 GB of RAM on the iPhone 5. Now, they're both very responsive overall, but we do notice that it's a bit tighter control with the iPhone 5's performance. We do notice an occasional hint of choppiness with the Droid DNA, but then again, Android as a whole is a little bit more visually intensive versus the more static look of iOS. But as far as other basic tasks, whether it be opening up applications, surfing the web, playing games, stuff like that, they both pretty much mirror one another with their performance, very quick and peppy. Naturally, seeing that it has the larger display, you get a little bit more spacious keyboard with the Droid DNA, but the iPhone 5 is still more than suitable just because both are very responsive in terms of inputting text, and we like that the iPhone 5 has really good autocorrect features, so even though if you make some mistakes along the way, it's going to correct you. But with the HTC DROID DNA, we like that it offers some punctuation and even some numbers directly from the main layout just by doing long presses. If you love taking photos, you'll be impressed with the shots produced by these handsets and their 8-megapixel autofocus cameras. Their qualities mirror one another. Very sharp looking with outdoor shots with neutral looking colors, though we notice that the iPhone 5's color production is just a little bit more warmer, so it has some vibrancy. They take some good looking macro shots. Indoors under artificial lighting, though, we kind of tend to see a more of an airy, ethereal look with the Droid DNA's visuals, whereas with the iPhone 5, it maintains that nice clarity with it. In low lighting conditions, they both are able to adapt well with minimal lighting. We just find that the f2.4 lens on the iPhone 5 does a better job in drawing details out more than the f2.0 lens on the Droid DNA. But overall, they're very good in this aspect. Indeed, it's a close race when it comes to still image qualities, but when it comes to 1080p high-definition video recording quality, it's a clear win for the iPhone 5 as it's able to maintain some better-looking visuals than its rival. With the Droid DNA, the biggest distractions that we have are just the prominent level of artifacting going on and just its overall softer and more dull-looking details, whereas with the iPhone 5, it maintains its sharpness throughout its recording. Take into account that both feature 4G LTE connectivity, it's not surprising that they're battery hungry. In fact, you're going to have to constantly charge both devices throughout the day. You'll get by through an 8-hour work shift with no problems, but soon after that, you're going to probably want to connect them to a wall charger or something. But however, if you're in an area that's not in a 4G LTE connection, you're using last generation data speeds, you could probably inch out a day of solid usage. Ultimately, folks, it's just going to come down to personal preference, specifically which platform experience you're going to want to go with. You have the personalization and deeper comprehensive features found with the Droid DNA's Android experience versus the more simple and also straightforward approach of the iOS 6 experience on the iPhone 5. They both perform similarly and they have also the same amount of features, both priced at $200, a 2-year contract with the Droid DNA. Of course, its 1080p display really sets the benchmark for most things out there, and we definitely like its stylish design too. Conversely, the iPhone 5, it's a very well-rounded performer. It has a premium element to its construction, which really stands out, and it takes some really nice photos and videos, so you really can't go wrong with either device. So if you'd like to learn more about both handsets, guys, you could check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V. Thanks for watching.